I moved from Orlando, Florida, to Western North Carolina with my parents back in 2002. We rented a 3-bedroom split-level house that had a massive backyard with a very old barn in the back. The house was situated on a large sloping hill, or mini-mountain, as I used to call it. I lived in this house for almost 2 years with my parents and my 3-year-old brother. I was 20 or 21 at the time. From the day we moved in, my mum and we had a weird feeling about the energy of the house, which we didn't say to each other for many months after. It was difficult to explain the sensation I had in the house, and the best I can explain it is never feeling alone in the house, as if you could feel someone in any given room with you. Kind of like how if someone enters a room you're in, and you just sense their presence without having to actually see them in the room. The first occurrence I remember was when my mum was in the kitchen cooking. We had a large island in the middle of the kitchen, which my mum had just brewed and placed a large pitcher of tea on. I recall seeing the pitcher of tea sitting on the middle of the island as I walked back to my room. A few minutes later, I heard it glide across the island counter and smash on the ground. It startled the hell out of me, and my mum too. I ran to the kitchen and she told me that she had heard the pitcher slide on the counter just as she turned in time to watch it glide off the edge of the island counter and fly 6 or 7 feet across the kitchen and smash against the wall. While I was listening to my mum make sense of it all, my stepfather also walked upstairs. He is the world's biggest skeptic. He laughed and said to my mum, "You must have hit yourself against the island and sent that thing flying or something." Both my mum and I have had separate paranormal experiences previously in our life. But even with those past experiences, we're still both rational thinkers and tried to make sense of the situation before automatically ruling a ghost or spirit made that picture fly across the room, even though we couldn't come up with a logical reason. A few weeks after the pitcher incident, I was sitting at the computer desk, which was near a large window at the corner of the living room. I had a friend visiting from Florida who was playing video games in my room, which was the first room down the hallway on the right side. While I was on the computer, I glanced over at the window, which was to my left. As I looked over, I noticed a couple of the blinds near the top start to move, but I didn't think much of it. Maybe it was the wind or something. A short time later, starting at the top of the blinds, each single blind started moving from top to bottom, as if someone took their finger and went one by one slowly down the blinds all the way to the last one at the bottom. I just sat there, perplexed, watching this, and then got up and ran to tell my friend. He laughed at me and said it was my mind playing tricks on me. I looked for any possible reason that could have made those blinds do that. I turned the AC on and off to see if that triggered it for some reason, but it didn't do anything at all. And the very next night, our roles were reversed. My friend was burning a CD on the computer while I was on the phone in my room. I heard him yell my name and run into my room, and he said, "I believe you. Come, quick." The very same thing had happened to him. I asked both of my parents if they noticed anything like that with the blinds, but neither one of them had. The small odd things would continue to occur almost daily, like doors that were locked and mysteriously opening, like the door in our kitchen which led to our porch that wrapped around half of the house. And my parents were sticklers for locking doors, almost like they had OCD or something. They would check and double check to make sure the doors were always locked. They've always been like that. The kitchen door had a very strong deadbolt and standard knob lock. We seldom ever used that door, so we kept it locked 99% of the time. But that wouldn't stop it from occasionally being found open. Oftentimes, you could feel that chill mountain breeze enter the house and look into the kitchen to find the door cracked or fully open. One night, as I got home late from work, I parked my car on the side driveway. We had a driveway that veered to the right of the house, in an incline. It was just long enough for one vehicle. From that spot, you could easily see the barn sitting high up on the slope behind my house. At that time, I hadn't had a chance to explore the barn, mostly because the grass was really high in the backyard, and our landlord said that he only mowed that area a few times a year. The barn was 2 floors. The first floor was made out of bricks, and the second floor and the roof were made out of wood. On that night, I parked my car, got out, and looked at the barn. I noticed what appeared to look like a lantern shining out of the large window on the second story of the barn. It then started moving out of view to the right, and a split second later, it went across the opening to the left side, as if someone was pacing back and forth, but it was too dark to see anyone. One night, my little brother also noticed the light. After looking out of my parents' bedroom window, it faced the backyard barn, and he told my parents about it. I overheard him and rushed in there to tell my parents about it too. The next day, my stepdad pulled out our lawnmower and mowed a path to the barn. As we walked in there, we noticed how dilapidated the barn was. It had some old rusted tools and broken wooden ladder that led to the second floor. The second floor was completely impossible to get to. The wood up there was mostly rotted away with only a few boards remaining. If anyone stood up there, they would fall right through. My stepdad told my brother and I that we must have seen someone flashing a light up there from somewhere else because it would have been impossible for anyone to get up there. I saw the barn light shine almost a dozen times while living there though, and my brother saw it too. My girlfriend saw it, and some of my friends also witnessed it one night. It was no flashlight. In February of 2003, my grandfather passed away. After the funeral in Florida, I returned back to NC for school and work, while my parents and brother stayed in Florida to assist my grandmother adjusting with life without a husband of 40 plus years. This is when activity at my house really picked up. One afternoon, I was playing on my drum kit in the basement. We called it the basement, but it was actually the first floor of the house combined with the garage, an open space the size of the entire house. While playing on my drums, though, I heard someone shout my name into my right ear. It scared me so bad that I threw my drumstick straight into the air. I looked around and there was absolutely no one in there with me. At the time, we had 2 beagles. They were both downstairs with me when this happened. I looked over to them and they were standing side by side, whimpering a bit, and staring at the wall right in front of me. That spooked the hell out of me. I grabbed my pack of smokes and walked outside for a cigarette, trying to comprehend what I heard. That night, I was terrified to sleep in the house by myself. I created a ritual that night that I would follow for the next few weeks until my parents returned home. Before bed, I would turn the bathroom light on. The bathroom was directly across the hall from my bedroom. I would then lock my bedroom door, turn the sleeper timer on my TV for hours past the point I knew it would take for me to fall asleep. I just didn't want to fall asleep to a silent house. On one night, as I went through my ritual, about an hour after watching TV, I heard a thump and then a roll of a ball down on my dresser. I had a signed baseball from the 2000 MLB All-Star game that sat on a pedestal it came with. And that baseball had fell off the pedestal, hit the dresser, and rolled down it onto the floor. As soon as I went to pick it up, my TV shut off. Hours before the timer was set to go off too. Both adrenaline and fear kicked in as I tried to find my TV controller in the dark room. I couldn't find it, so I made my way to the TV, and right before I could reach for it, the TV just turned back on, and the stereo in my room also turned on full blast, at the very same time. I felt so vulnerable and petrified at the time, but that was nothing compared to what happened a few nights later. We had a blizzard come through around this time, so there was plenty of snow on the ground. One night, I was sitting on my couch watching TV, waiting for my friend to come over for a jam session. As I was watching TV, I started hearing shuffling come from the base of the stairs that led from the basement to the upstairs hallway. A few minutes later, I heard what appeared to be someone running up my stairs. So I jumped up and hid around the corner wall, waiting to see an intruder or robber bust open the door. But nothing happened. After about a minute of waiting, I quietly walked into my room and grabbed my baseball bat. I then walked to the door leading to the basement, opened it really quickly while getting ready to swing, and there was no one there. My dogs also began to start whimpering again. I turned on the basement lights and walked halfway down the stairs where I could view the entire basement from, and I didn't see anyone at all. I went back upstairs, made sure that the door was locked, and just continued watching TV. I couldn't figure out what I'd heard. It was too loud to be two small dogs. A short while later, though, I heard the same sound, only much louder this time, as if someone had work boots with weights attached on them and was running up my stairs. At this point, I was completely convinced that someone had broken into my house. I ran right to the door just as the sound ended, unlocked and opened the door and swung my bat blindly at nothing. I dropped that bat so quick, I slammed the door shut, grabbed my cigarettes and walked outside to my porch that was covered in snow, wearing nothing but a tank top and shorts. I must have smoked 15 cigarettes on that porch, waiting for my friend to get there. Once he arrived, he looked at me like I was crazy. I told him what happened, and we went inside to investigate. We both took turns running up the stairs, but we couldn't mimic the loudness of the stairs that I heard. I was completely freaked out at this point. My friend believed me and actually told me some things that he kept to himself that happened to him on different occasions when he stayed over at my house too. When he would stay over, he would sleep in my brother's room. He told me one night, while sleeping in that room, that his covers were slightly pulled, and on a different night, the closet door opened slowly and closed abruptly. This struck a chord, as my little brother would also say that his closet would move by itself, but my parents would brush it off as his imagination. Well, a couple of days later, I would find myself opting to camp out in my GMC Jimmy rather than enter my home. I pulled up to my house one night after playing pool, about 2 or 3 in the morning. As I went to walk up the stairs leading to my porch, I glanced up at my bedroom window and noticed the blinds pulled apart a few inches, and what appeared to be a very dark figure in the opening. I froze and then watched the blinds slowly come back together. It was as if someone or something was looking at me through my own bedroom window. I will never forget that sight. I'm literally having goosebumps typing this out. I turned around, got in my car and drove to a hotel off of Interstate 40 and near my house and slept in the car that night. I didn't care that it was in the 30s that night. I just didn't want to be anywhere near that house that night. The next few days, leading up to my parents returning, I stayed with my friends and my girlfriend those nights, only returning to my house a couple of times in the day to feed and walk my dogs. I shared all of my stories with my mum. She was very receptive and also shared some strange things that happened to her and my brother in the house. A few months later, my parents moved back to Florida full-time to be closer to my grandma. I stayed in NC, but moved in with my uncle in a different town. There are so many more occurrences that I could share during my time living in that house, but these were certainly the highlights which live with me forever. G'day mates, it's Busta here. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks again to the Hive members that bravely shared their stories for us all here, and I hope you guys are all doing really well. For the chance to have your story feature in a video, you can send your story to my email, which is in the description below. If you would like more scary stories too, you can click on the card at the top right of your screen or on one of the annotations on your screen right now. As always guys, it would be awesome if you could like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates throughout the week. And also, if you would like content early and completely advert-free for as little as $1 a month, feel free to click on the link to my Patreon account and sign up there for regular MP3 format stories. Thanks again for tuning in and for all the love as always, guys, and I'll see you mates in the next one.